Hello there. We're talking today about the Accounting 211 midterm, and there's a study guide that'll go along with that. There are some things to remind you of as you get ready to take the midterm, and one of them is the point structure in the class. So do recognize that this test is worth 2,750 points. The final exam's worth that much also. Your Connect homework is worth 1,400 points. Your blogs in the class are worth 1,400 points. And then the financial accounting project series of interactive presentations that you look at are worth 1,700 points. You have 2 hours to complete the test. There are 20 multiple choice questions. They're worth 70 points each. And there are also 4 problems worth 340 points each. Before I leave points and really the structure of the whole class, keep in mind that this class is not based on percentages, it's based on points. And so don't look at things like on Blackboard how many points you have out of how many points. For example, pre-built problems are extra credit. So I'm figuring your grade on a base of 10,000 points. If you did all of the pre-built problems, you'd have something like, and you got, let me rephrase, if you did the pre-built problems, or even if you just look at them, they're going to push the number of points you could get to 11,700 or something like that. But even though it pushes that there, you only need 9,000 points, which is 90% of 10,000 points, to get an A in the class. So focus on getting points. Don't focus on how well you do with percentages. With regard to Chapter 1, there are some multiple choice questions that show up on the test. What financial statement does an account appear on? That might mean, for example, that I give you cash and say what financial statement does that appear on. I want you to know some things about the cash flow statement, but it wouldn't be this type of question. So you wouldn't have to know what type of statement belongs on a cash flow. Because if you've looked at that statement, there really aren't any types of accounts on there. There are changes in accounts, but not an account balance on there. There might be an accounting equation. If assets are X and liabilities are Y, what is equity? That would be a simple math thing you'd have to figure out. And then how's an income statement laid out? And remember, that's simply revenue minus expenses net income. You have one 340-point problem from Chapter 1, and that deals with preparing a balance sheet. So I'm going to give you elements, and you're going to need to put them on a balance sheet. And one thing to realize is this is a Blackboard test, and so you're going to get essay space. So I really don't care about your format, but I do need to see a balance sheet in there. Doesn't matter to me if it lines up or not, but things need to be in the proper sections, and they need to balance out properly. There's going to be a lot to do with journal entries on the test. That's a pretty big part of Accounting 211. So one thing is I might give you a transaction and ask either which of the 4 entries is right, or I might want you to picture an entry, and I might say, you know, picture an entry where the customer paid cash for supplies. Which of the following parts of the entry would be done, or which would not be done? And here you'd have to picture the entry to know which one of the multiple choice questions wouldn't be done. We talk about normal balances. The normal balance idea, also called the rules of debit and credit, are, for example, that debits belong on the left and credits belong on the right. Watch the page reference. It's possible that I had that from an old edition of the book, so it's the rules of debit and credit. Not certain if I changed the page reference for this time. And then you might have a question, what's the left side of a T account called? Obviously that's debit. What's the right side of a T account called? That's credit. There will be a problem from Chapter 2, and that problem will be that you have to do 4 regular journal entries. Chapter 3. Question from this chapter might involve which account reduces the net book value of equipment. That is accumulated depreciation, of course. One where you have to calculate depreciation. One where you might have to do an adjusting entry. And an account where you might have to, say which of the following accounts are temporary. There's a problem involving salaries payable, and then there's another problem, and so this is 3 out of 4 already, coming from the first 3 chapters, and this is prepare 3 adjusting entries. Remember that one sale entry causes 2, one sales transaction causes 2 journal entries. The first journal entry is recording cash or accounts receivable and then sales as well. The second entry is to remove the item from inventory and debit cost of goods sold expense, credit merchandise inventory. There's a sales returns and allowance theory question. So what theory usually means on a test is not so much that you'd have to do a journal entry, but that you might have to talk about, what's the right idea. And what I'm getting at here is that sales returns and allowances is a sales account that's a debit. So it actually reduces sales. So you don't debit the sales account directly, you debit sales returns and allowances. And then keep in mind, if the first and second entries are the same, the company doesn't make any profit. So that's not a good thing. So it's very rare when that happens. Usually the sales entry will be for a higher amount than the merchandise inventory and cost of goods sold entry, and that'll imply profit for the company. And then there's another problem with 3 journal entries, and this is sales related journal entries. So for certain you can expect the one sale causes 2 journal entries. From Chapter 5, you might have a question, what does FIFO mean? That means first in, first out. And then the 4 methods are FIFO, LIFO, weighted average, and specific identification. So the question here might be, which of the following is not an inventory costing method? For Chapter 6, you need to know the definition of an outstanding check. This is a check that the company's already written, and so it's already in the general ledger, but the bank hasn't recognized it yet, so it won't appear on the bank statement. And then I'll give you some facts about a cash drawer that was short, and you'll have to record the cash over and short journal entry there. A couple of final thoughts about the taking of the test. So you need to be authenticated in the test. It's open book, open notes. The ways you can go about being authenticated, or you can go to a testing center and take it. I've put everybody's name at every testing center for TCC. You can take it with me, and I've given you a couple of nights where, as long as you have a webcam, you never have to leave home. You can just sit at home and take the test by coming into our Blackboard Collaborate room. If neither of these methods are satisfactory to you, maybe because you live out of the area but can't get on the Blackboard Collaborate session, or you just can't get to the Blackboard Collaborate and you can't get to the testing center either because of the time, let me know and we'll work on what's called a remote proctoring option. The college is changing how it deals with remote proctors, so it might take a little investigative work, but it's most likely available if you need it. Well, take care and let me know if you have questions about the test. Good luck.